everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, not as always, D. How are you, sir?
It's me. It's me. It's D.
Troy's not part of this one because we're doing House of the Dragon, and Troy doesn't do Game of Thrones stuff.
Hot D. He doesn't do Hot D.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't do Hot D.
They do not do Hot D.
No. Not a big fan. So, we're doing the first half of the second season because we're bad at doing regular stuff.
But mostly episode 4.
Yeah.
We're going to talk in generalizations.
Yeah.
And then
let's dive into it. TB&J! TB&J!
TD&J.
Alrighty, so first half of season 2. You want to just give the first half, just as a general, a thumbs up or a thumbs down? How you feeling about it so far?
I hate this system.
I mean, it's not the best system.
Can you go ahead and give it a thumbs down?
Yeah,
thumbs
fuck
down.
this.
Fuck this show.
No.
I'm giving it a thumbs down.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, I'm giving it a thumbs down.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to cause some controversy.
Okay.
Because I'm not...
That's totally
like,
fine.
It's a good show, and it's better than most of the ones we've watched that I've given thumbs up to. But generally, fuck this. I mean, like, it's slow.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
slow,
it's so
and I'm
fucking
a little worried
slow.
about it. Like,
This is the first episode we've gotten any real battles after watching like 2 different aftermaths of battles just shown on screen of a pile of bodies, like the Blackwoods and the Brackens or whatever, and we saw all the bodies, and it's like, great, I wish you would have shown me that battle that happened. Take like 10 minutes, maybe.
I'm fine for kind of what they're doing. It's just what they're doing is not like epic Game of Thrones level. Now,
It seems like a very slow burning political drama.
it doesn't feel that, and that's fine. I just look at like seasons. Okay, look at season 1 of Game of Thrones, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You have in the first 4 episodes, like, let's say the first 5 episodes, you have like pivotal moments. You have like obviously the Bran stuff in the first episode. You have some Daenerys stuff in episodes like 2, 3. You get the
mountains of character development.
well, you get Viserys, I think, actually. The other Viserys, Daenerys'
her brother.
His gold hat.
Targaryens love reusing names.
In episode 5, I think. And obviously you have by like episode 9 or so, you have Ned Stark and just a whole game. These are game-changing moments for the most part. Like some pretty really cool, crazy, dark,
absolutely
moments. And you have Ned Stark, totally game-changer moments. We talked last season about some high marks. And I think that episode 9, I think it was the whatever the dinner was that they had.
I think it was 8 or 9.
The dinner and him taking the throne that night.
Yep.
He's like, I shall take the throne. His walk up, pretty fucking good. And it's a lot. It was it was a boss moment, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it was it was what I was looking for in this type of show, which was an unexpected, just something different. It doesn't have to be a death, doesn't have to be a this, doesn't have to be a that. It just needs to be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to make me say holy shit, and that made me say holy shit. I think a couple other standout moments, obviously the Vagon attack at the end kind of got you, whet your appetite. And then maybe like when Daemon like beheaded that one dude that one time.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of moments like that.
Like, there was a lot of promise and a lot of like interesting, here we go, but like it really does feel like, yeah, there's a bunch of things happening, but like there's a reason this wasn't the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it's a great backstory. I just don't know if it, like, what we're seeing constantly is all these like untested kids in these roles, and it's like, fine, right? Like, this war is taking place at a changing of the guard in time, and like, as they say in the text, like in the show, like, hotter heads are prevailing here. Like, I think it was last episode they had them say like, oh, Otto Hightower would have never allowed this with the twins. I mean, like the twin fight was fine that he had in but these aren't like. I don't care enough about Helena and her life.
Oh yeah, no.
And I actually was starting to I mean, I don't know. What do you think with Aegon here? You said you knew how this kind of goes.
Yeah. So, I don't know how much we want to go into, but I did go when I heard of.
We're just talking generally. I think about it.
Talking generally, when House of the Dragon was coming out, I did go on to like the Song of Ice and Fire wiki, which is just based on the books, not the shows, and it goes into the Dance of Dragons War, which is what this is referred to as in the future in Game of Thrones times.
And I'm pretty confident that like if you watch like the second episode of Game of Thrones, like Joffrey like explains the end.
Yeah, he tells you about Aegon's dragon and doing this and ending the war and killing somebody and then all sorts of stuff.
Although as I understand it, it's a little more complex. I got a little like I think I know Rhaena's ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get that, and I think I get how that's done. But like how we got there seems odd, especially what we're looking at here, right?
Yes,
because okay, so. Here's what I know, and there's some little spoily here.
Yeah, maybe some spoiler stuff. Maybe I'll put a timestamp where you can skip ahead. If you
let's.
don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So let's put it this way: you did not see a body.
No, yeah. So Aegon, got attacked.
You see something.
He got burned by his brothers,
so it
Aemon
sure
and
as
Vhagar.
heck feels like Aegon is not dead. Because it just doesn't make sense. Like you would have seen it if they were trying to say that he was dead, then he'd be dead. So it sounds like he's just fucked up.
Yeah.
And this is crazy because now he's his dad, right? Like now I'm getting that. Like I'm like, okay, I see kind of what you're planning, but how long are you going to do this with the character? Because obviously I think he's out of commission for a good while, but I think he's a freak.
Oh,
right? I
fuck
think
yeah.
he's a mutant freak at this point.
He's going to come out looking like Two-Face, like burnt all
he's
up.
going to be worse than his dad was, right? His dad was fucking falling apart and a freak, and he's already considered pathetic, and now he's physically pathetic, right? He's going to be physically pathetic like his father was. Even though he was physically pathetic before, at least he could...
You know, he still looked pretty.
I mean, at least he could live a life, but now... So I understand...
Now he's literally a burn victim.
So yeah, like, I mean, I don't think... So I think that just festers, right? Like,
oh yeah.
But like, and now we get whatever happens.
Especially because
Aemon
Aemon did it, so that's going to cause a rift between the brothers,
right? But is he going to even like? I'm wondering if he's even going to be able to speak.
Ooh, that's
like
interesting.
I'm wondering him just like seething in pain and like maybe his mouth is even fused shut or some shit. Like he's melted in.
God.
I think to that shit. I think he's like a freak.
Yeah,
like with like no or very limited capability. I mean, his larynx can be burned. I mean, you don't know what the fuck is wrong with him, but he's gonna be like enough to live and be a threat. But like, I'm not.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to. Obviously, what seems like the case now is Aemon is where he wants to be. He's the next in line, right? I mean, besides the kids, but there's like only the one girl, right?
Yeah, because they already killed the boy that he had. They cut his head off, so I guess it would have to be...
Did they change his number of kids? Doesn't he have more kids in the books, or is there another kid out there? I mean, I don't get me wrong. None of them are going to take the throne because they're all going to be too young.
Sure, Aemon will fill in as like king for now, or maybe they'll make Alicent like resume her duties as queen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is, I mean, kind of a little bit more where we're, getting to some capable people. We're knocking out some of the I can't do shit people.
Yeah. The lame ducks.
Yeah, that are kind of holding, but like. Where I come in to say that this is kind of a thumbs down is that like I'm like this, like I was expecting. I want to. This is not a Battle of the Bastards. I mean, this is not. This is like okay. It's a cool dragon battle, and I get that that's CGI and whatever, but like. I'm sorry, man. Like I watched Game of Thrones, and I watched a 40-minute sequence for the Battle of the Wall and the Battle of the Bastards. I'm watching like serious like warfare, like all this stuff, and it is relentless, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on. This is very breezy. by comparison.
Yeah.
And I feel myself like latching on to like little things of whatever I can take. This is not as sprawling in
Nope.
in any capacity. I feel like a lot of characters are underutilized, did I hear right that they want to do like 4 or 5 seasons of this?
I believe so, yeah.
This is just feels like late Game of Thrones, and
It does.
this is what's bothering me. It's like I'm gonna probably watch it because I like the world, and now I'm just like, this is just what they're doing with Lord of the Rings, and just like as long as we make it in that world and we're adapting these books, people will watch it because they want to see it.
Yep.
Like, and I'm like, God damn
You're absolutely
it! Like,
right.
I don't want to. This is done. Like the Rhaena, Alicent.
Rhaenyra and Alicent.
Rhaenyra and Alicent in the church, whatever, at the end of the last episode. Just, I mean, I can hear all the arguments for and against, but this is stupid. It's
Absolutely,
it's
it's so fucking stupid.
like it's. What do you mean by it's stupid?
I just felt like, why you're risking everything to sneak into this church to talk to Alicent when she sent you a raven. Like, if you really wanted to talk, like, I feel like you could, or you could at least like propose to meet at some neutral ground, and she might accept, or something of that nature. I feel like there was a lot of effort to smuggle her into King's Landing.
See, to me, that's not what's stupid.
Oh, okay.
Because that's granite stupid, and it's not in the books, and it's stuff that's like not supposed to be done, and it calls into question everyone's like consideration. If Alicent moves away, then she should just yell guards. Like, this is dumb. Like, this is over at that point. So that's really bad. But if you're doing it for the sake of the story, in some sense, I get it, because it's like you are but the story you're telling is just that they went through everything they could to not have war. And I'm like, but I want to see the fucking war. That's why we're watching this show.
Yup.
Like, so I get that you want to have this big message about this, but like, that's not making me like the blacks or like the greens or dislike one or the other. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's just dumb. It doesn't make me dislike the blacks because of like moral ambiguity. It makes me dislike them because this is a dumb thing to do for the sake of the story and to stretch it out and to give us another moment of like I get it. Fine. Like, it's a perfectly good conversation to reveal that they are well aware of the truths now, right? Like, but this is, I swear to God, if they have another situation that puts Alicent and Rhaenyra in the same room, this is just dumb.
You know, they're going to.
This is just dumb. And this is where I'm like, I thought honestly, they were like, yeah, we'll do 2 seasons. I thought this was over at the end of the season. How much more of this war could there possibly be?
So there isn't a whole lot more like fighting.
Which just means they're going to stretch this the fuck out.
Yeah, so in the books, they talk about the war as being very long and drawn out. But
10
there's
episodes, right?
Season 2, I think.
Yeah.
I thought there were 8. There might be 10.
Was there 8 in the first, or was there 10 in the first?
I'll look it up real quick. But from what I know of the books, the war was very long and drawn out, and it wasn't a lot of big flashy battles. It was a lot of espionage and like backstabbing and treason and murders in dark alleys, which doesn't really scream Game of Thrones to me.
As I see it, this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with Daemon, Lucerys, not Lucerys, he's dead.
Jacaerys. Jace.
Jace.
He's the other kid.
Those two, Aemond, Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe
Season 1 was
Helena?
10.
Helena?
Helena. Yeah, I guess.
There's 5 people that got to die, right? There's 5 more people that got to die. Maybe a 6th if Aegon's not dead. He's got to die somewhere. So, fine. There are 6 big deaths to be had.
Sure, maybe.
That's what it feels like to me, because those are the people that matter at this point.
Yep.
Like,
to answer your question, by the way, Season 1 was 10 episodes. Season 2 will be 8, with the last one airing August 4th. So
it's fewer episodes. That's
it's also
interesting.
fewer viewers. So here's something I found very interesting. So when this launched, HBO was like touting it as like, oh, this is the best premiere ever on Max. It's blowing away all the Max records. But that's only for Max. When you look at this versus season 1, the viewership is down 20%.
Oh, from HBO?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just in general for season 2 versus season 1. But
Max
if you
was
flip
like
it,
a day old when this came out.
Exactly.
That is the dumbest thing I've
They're
ever heard.
only putting it under the umbrella of Max, not even HBO Max and Max, just Max when they rebranded and it became the Blue app.
Wow.
So they are framing this as best they can, in my opinion, to do some damage control because it has just plummeted.
Okay.
1 out of 5 people that watch season 1 is not watching season 2.
Because I thought we were saying when we were watching this that it was like picking up viewers. That it was like
During
pretty
season 1 it was. Yeah. It had a really big first episode viewership, and then it kind of petered off, but it kept going back up. But season 2, it just tanked compared to season 1.
So, okay. So, like, to me, here's the situation, right?
Sure.
Like, to me, you are dealing with this story, The Dance of Dragons, right? That is not... It just screams to me like this is, boo, people like dragons, do the dragon story. And I'm like, you know that there's like...
It's kind of what it feels like.
10 other like big Game of Thrones, or Song of Ice and Fire, storylines that are arguably way better than the Dance of Dragons.
Yeah, fucking the whole rebellion. Robert's Rebellion was awesome.
So obviously Robert's Rebellion is something that I think a lot of people want to see, right? This is the precursor to, well, technically not. There's two things. Let me put the big things that the tentpoles that I would like to see at some point in time, right? Aegon's Conquest, right?
Yep. Aegon's
Conquest. You have an entire quote unquote Seven Kingdoms, Westeros, of battle hardened characters, all of different layers of sprawling stuff. You have these, and then there's one guy coming in to take it over.
Yep.
You could frame him
with
as
his massive fearsome dragon.
Fearsome fucking dragon. So you can do the end. You can play all of that with a ton of history, a ton of lore, a ton of characters. You could do that as long for 8 seasons, like Game of Thrones. Like you could easily do it. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Like
7 seasons, conquer a kingdom in a season.
Then you have Robert's Rebellion, that is like ultimately epic, right? That you have the beginning of the dynasty and the end of the dynasty, right? You have this, and then in between there and Game of Thrones, you have the whatchamacallit,
I'm sorry.
Who's the guy from the pirate people?
Greyjoy?
The Greyjoy Rebellion. The Greyjoy Rebellion is the whole reason. The Robert's Rebellion and the Greyjoy Rebellion are the reason that when you get to Game of Thrones, there's not a single person that hasn't seen war.
Yeah.
Right? Like both generations, the older generation and the mid generation, they're all capable fucks, right?
Yep.
Selmy and Ned are on the older side of things, and Robert are on the older side of things. Whereas like most of the bad motherfuckers in this show are mid-level. Like they broke their stones in the Greyjoy Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
There's this great story about like one of those guys who had the flaming swords.
Oh yeah.
That dude back then, like what's his face? Like tells the story about how he was like, he was only a boy, Jorah at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he saw him, or he was only like a young knight or something, and he saw him up there with his flaming sword, like going to battle, and he's like, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. You were the best knight I ever seen. And he's like, I was so drunk. Like,
yeah, I remember that now. That you said
and I was like, I want to see those moments, like that whole battle, that whole thing. These guys proving themselves. Maybe even Robert trying to Robert, for as the king that he is, keeps the peace for a good long time.
Yeah. There's a good like 20, 30 years where it's just kind of peaceful and everyone's just living their lives, doing their thing. Robert's not a hated king by most people. The Lannisters
literally, I don't, and I don't think the Lannister shit would have ever come up. I don't think it would have escalated. I don't think the Lannister started. It's obviously Littlefinger that starts this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And by pushing it, and then the Lannisters by default become the kind of villains of this. But that's all Littlefinger's doing. You know, it's not. In what we have here, we've just had the Hightowers just really try to kill the Targaryens, right? And it does seem like whatever they're doing here is the downfall of the Targaryens for Westeros, right? Like this, but like I just don't see the reason for it,
right?
Like.
It's a very long, drawn-out thing to not do a whole lot.
Yeah, it's more. I'm thinking like here, like okay, I right now it seems like because like the reason being just because Otto and them decided they were going to overthrow the king. And like usurp the throne, and with their own kind of like.
It doesn't seem like Otto had any motive other than the king had a son and it was with my daughter. I can use this.
That he didn't like Daemon and then but he was never gonna put in Rhaena. Like he thought it would tear the place apart. And like we are seeing
I have to do what's best for the realm.
There is like they are half the reason I dislike this group the Blacks and stuff is like obviously they're doing this like anti-women thing where it's just like, well, you see how they're just not taking them seriously until Valerian comes in the room.
Yep.
And it's just like it's so dumb that I don't want to watch it. Like it's like, okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, that's probably accurate and boo, but it's not fun to watch. So I don't understand the point. You're not making anything fun. Like like there's
it's not very fun.
I'm not We never see a Laris, right? Like Laris, Clubfoot dude, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We're not following him at all, ever. We are only following the people that we have been told are the protagonists of these shows.
Yeah, we only see Laris when it's in the lens of seeing him as like through someone else, or he's with somebody else.
Right. There's no balance to like what the story is, and this is where I'm just like, this could be better. Like there were moments where I watched Aegon and Aemont and Helena, and I wanted more of their story because you won't give it to me.
Yeah.
We should have seen the twins without Kristen Cole, without Damon. Like we only see them in every side character is a side character. Whereas like when I was in Game of Thrones, every character was a main character.
Exactly.
They were the main character of their story, and it didn't matter if two of those characters were sharing the screen. It was both of their scenes. It wasn't just Kristen talks to Chris. Like there's like four characters in this show.
Mm-hmm.
There's like four characters in the show. There's Rhaenyra, right? Is that
Rhaenyra?
There was Rhaena. Now she's gone. So there's Rhaenyra.
Rhaenys.
There's Rhaenys.
Rhaenys was the older lady who died.
There was Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Daemon, Alicent, and maybe Kristen Cole. Like there's five characters, and that's even thinking like
Kristen Cole's even a stretch because I feel like most of his scenes are just like
Kristen Cole's pretty developed. They are with Alicent, but they're not all, and he is very much so. I think he's my favorite character. I started as him being my favorite character in the show, but he's by far he's the most capable character on the show, and I'm most intrigued by where his story is headed.
Especially now that he feels personally responsible for Aegon dying or getting at least maimed. Like you saw it as soon as he fell to his knees in front of the dying dragon and the boy in the middle. I say boy, he's probably early 20s. You could see it in his face. Like he's going to carry this forever. He now has to go back to the woman he loves and say, this is your king, this is your baby boy, and he might be dead. Like that's fucking rough, man.
I don't think they're... But like... I mean, his story's fine. I don't think he's going to stay long because I think he's just going to go back out to war.
He's just going to keep fighting until he dies. That's his.
Yeah, that's my guess.
He's very tortured.
I actually have no idea how his story ends.
Me neither. To be fair.
To be fair. But yeah, I don't like. It's I'm hopeful that Aemont becomes a more.
Like an
relevant
acting
character in this, or that they do this, but like it just seems like this were like how much longer? Can you tell me this? Can you tell me in spans of like narrative years, like how much longer does this war last in
It ends, I think, right before or right after winter starts. And we're currently
so it's
right
like
at the end of summer.
Another year. Or wait, like a couple months?
Well, no, because remember, Game of Thrones seasons are different. Winters can last
Jesus
years.
Christ.
Yeah. So we have a number of
That
years,
doesn't
but
help
less
me.
than 10.
Okay. So okay. Jesus, Mary shows.
I know, right? The thing is, a lot of the middle stuff, they could drag this on forever if they really wanted to. Because ultimately, the end of it, no one's happy.
This is not great. I mean, like, it's to a point of like, it's like you're starting in season 5 Game of Thrones, and you're saying like, hey, let's just stretch this out until the end. And I'm like, what
are you talking about?
Like this? I need it. I need it more. I need more like. I need more game theory. I need like, how are you going to plan this? The nuke. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, I just don't think it's a good story to adapt. It's all Targaryen. Like,
yep.
I thought it'd be a bit more intriguing, but like, you're not giving me characters. And you introduce these Valerian guys, and maybe they take the bastards, I guess, of Valerian.
Yeah, maybe. Apparently, that's who the sailor was. Alan, who saved him.
I mean, I feel like that was been hinted at since the beginning. Like the beginning was like he's like weirdly talking to him, like you're the one who pulled me up.
Yep.
And then he's real weird with him. And then like that dude's brother is like, well, why don't you use this to your advantage, knowing what like he is? And then Rhaenys is like. Rhaenys or whatever is like holding his face like this. I'm like, oh, so it's his bastard. Like I get it. He cheated on you.
She said your mother must have been very beautiful.
Yeah, like
okay, cool. So your mother is not Rhaenys, but the way you're acting and talking to him, you clearly are familiar with who he is.
Right. And
they basically spelled it out without actually saying anything.
And I'm like, okay, so you're making these characters relevant, and maybe they become dragon riders. I could see that happening.
I mean, anybody, in theory, could be, I guess. All you have to do is fucking hop on. But I guess you control them using the High Valyrian speech. So
let me ask you this much. Valerian is obviously a...
Lord Corlys.
He's a Valerian, but not a Targaryen.
Correct.
So is it only the Targaryens that get dragons?
So it's... I'm sure it's in the books. I don't think so. I think Valerians used to ride dragons. They currently do not. I think after Aegon's conquest, I imagine the dragons were a primarily Targaryen
Are dragons
thing.
like illegal to have if you're not a Targaryen, though?
I don't even know if illegal is the right word, so much as the only ones that exist are Targaryen, and they keep the eggs themselves.
Yeah, but there's stray ones that are out there.
Sure, the cannibal.
And they have their own nests, and people clearly have access to some of the eggs. Or you could steal from the roost of one of those ones like Daemon did, kind of, and get it. Granted, maybe you kind of need a dragon to get there in the first place. I don't know, but like it seems like it could be done. And that if someone really wanted an egg, they can make that happen. If Otto can position a kid in the crown, then someone could steal a dragon egg. And then, like,
I started typing is owning a dragon illegal, and the first autofill is in PA.
Ha!
Bro, are you fucking serious? In PA, in Pennsylvania, in the U.S., in New Jersey. That is my first 4 autofills from Google.
Yeah.
Are people fucking stupid? You think dragons are real? Oh, my gosh.
There are some dragons. Oh, man. No, it's probably just an AI completion, like, in this state.
So apparently the only rule that's ever specified outright in the books is that a dragon can only bond with one rider at a time, and until that rider dies, a dragon will not bond to a different rider. So I guess if you can mount it and it bonds, it's yours. I guess Targaryens are the only ones that really have like the ability to do that.
And this is where I'm just like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. There seems to be there's a good amount of dragons in existence. Like, so, okay, we were wrong at one point, or maybe I was wrong talking to somebody else, but, like, I thought we were 300 years before the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. This is specified. Dragons are most definitely property. Specifically, all surviving dragons everywhere are the property of the Iron Throne, and anyone who claims a ride to dragon must do so by leave of the king. That is like an official decree in Westeros.
So if you have a dragon, it better be approved.
It better be approved. You better be like related to the king, or he must love you so much that he gifted you one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a tough thing to stand up against, but it just seems. So I guess my guess is like, my wonder is like, with Rhaenys gone, does Valerian take a stronger role in doing stuff, and do they need more dragon riders and bring in this? Whatever. It's just, I mean, you could have more riders, but every dragon is currently spoken for. Let me just throw it up this way: if this sailor Valerian's bastard son,
Alan,
Alan, like, I'm not interested in them either. You haven't shown me them to be like an interesting dude or whatever. They're like a simple fisherman, and I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a simple fisherman ride into war and get killed. Like, it's not. None of this is fun.
I think they're trying to make me. They're trying to make me like him the way I liked Jon Snow. How he was a bastard who everyone looked down upon.
Jon Snow was a trained knight that didn't have night. Like, they have an awesome backstory. This isn't. Jon Snow had one of the coolest backstories immediately. He's a bastard son, kept at this castle. His mother hates, like, I know, but he's a really nice guy, and he's trained. He's just as good as his older brother, like, or his younger brother, technically half-brother, the actual heir to the thing, but they made a good relation. It's very complicated. There's a 12-teen interactions between, and interesting dynamics that he has with, like, 12 different characters. There is no one that Alan has any dynamic with except Valerian.
Yep.
This is dumb. Like, there is no, unless you want to introduce me to a whole web of people, like, you're not doing the work. There aren't characters that are worth writing about here.
No.
And the ones that are, the story's quick.
Yep.
It's a quick story. You have to drag it out.
I would have loved seeing those twin knights for way longer.
Way longer.
Yeah.
You could have sat there and told me a whole thing. You could have had me sitting here. You could have had him working on the Kingsguard, like each of them kind of building up their own things, only to fucking die in this. That would have been good.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. I would have been way more invested in you extending the plot by, instead of making up bullshit scenes with Rhaenyra and Alicent having a conversation, showing you're gonna have to do a what are they called? Crap! I forget the name of this trope, but it's when you tell a story that goes nowhere.
Oh, a Shaggy Dog story?
A Shaggy Dog. You could do a Shaggy Dog story with the brothers. That's better than what you gave.
Yeah.
I just think they
also,
are.
Rhaenyra doesn't have a Hand of the King or Hand of the Queen, I guess, and he was perfect. He was right there.
It's not the point. It's
No.
it's that I just don't think they're doing what they could do. They're taking 5 characters that are worth telling, and then it seems like they have the characters. I just never see those twins without one of the core 5. I never see Larys Clubfoot without one of the core 5. I never see these guys without one of the core 5. Show me just them.
Yes.
Show me, build the characters that you had. Even Miss Sendra, whatever character she is.
The new the White Worm lady from the brothel.
Yeah, I know we've had some of her, but she's looking in from afar here. I'm like, what are you doing? You're not giving me. You're not making these real characters. There's just side characters for your 5 plot, your 5 core. And I'm trying to think who else. The newest fun character is obviously the Rivers girl,
Alice
Rivers. I like how they're playing her. I like the ghost story they're kind of telling from Harrenhal, but
yeah, Damon's fucking losing his mind in Harrenhal.
Oh my gosh. It's just, oh my gosh. There's
so much going on.
You're telling an entire personal story about Daemon, and that's it. You're making one character and one short storyline. Like it is. Is it 3 episodes now?
Or 2.
Did he only arrive at Harrenhal the last episode? No way.
Episode 3, yeah.
He only arrived there at the beginning of 3?
Yep.
God, I feel like I've been at Harrenhal for like weeks now. And it's just been like one slow ass, like all the shit that has happened in Harrenhal, I felt like could have happened way early. Like, it's just you're just dragging it out, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely like, I mean, don't get me wrong. This last like, it keeps me invested enough, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it'll. They did give us that walk up to the throne, right?
Yeah, where the younger
walk to the
Rhaenyra
throne is.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you meant this episode.
No.
Season 1.
The Viserys' walk to the throne last season is one epic moment that is not worth an entire season of a show for. It is if you're promising more on the horizon, but you're promising more or less of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And man,
yeah,
this should be better. And I'd have much rather them finish it out this season and then just move on to a Robert's Rebellion, or move on to the Aegon's Conquest, or move on to some other shit.
Yeah,
because
there's a lot, and then don't even forget this whole storyline ends with like the Targaryens reclaiming and remaining in power as their dragons like wither and die and become those little like dog-sized dragons, and the eggs are considered barren and not fertile, and they're decorative. And
I mean, we see like it's after this war that all of the dragons are to die out. There's baby dragons left, more or less, and that's it.
Which I don't know if you caught. You probably did. The eggs that Rhaenyra sends to the Vale, those are Daenerys' eggs +1, because she sends 4. But
this is my whole. It's like, I know you're a Star Wars prequels fan and stuff like this, but isn't this is one of the other big issues? Is it just the issue that you know how this ends?
I mean,
does that take away all of it?
It very well could. It certainly does a little bit for me, but at the same time, I'm curious to see where they take liberties from the books. Because as David Benoist and D.B. Weiss established, they didn't follow the books at the end. And, this doesn't necessarily need to follow that plot. For example, small spoiler alert, skip ahead 30 seconds. Aegon II lives till the end of this war, and that's when he gets poisoned and dies. But if he just died on the back of his dragon getting burnt alive, that's a huge right turn from the plot of the books. And if Ryan Condal and George R.R. Martin are not afraid, and they actually took that risk, I would have massive respect for their testicles, because that's an insane risk. That's an insane turn.
Okay. I need to talk about that. So,
skip ahead another 30 seconds to a minute.
30 seconds. So you're saying that this Aegon,
yes,
dies of poison
at the end of the war. That is how the war ends, as he gets poisoned.
Okay, and this is after he's already killed
tons of people.
Right.
Yes.
So
she dies, he gets poisoned and dies. No side wins, so they have Aegon's heir marry somebody from the other side, and they become the new.
But how is he poisoned?
I don't remember. This was a long time ago. I read it
because even though that's just going to be what's in the history books. So
exactly, it's in the history books.
The truth could be different.
They could make anybody in the show actually do it. But there was something about how Aegon's council was so upset that it was something so small and discreet that they couldn't actually punish the people who did it, and it wasn't a big lavish affair. And they're well, this is a wet fart end to a war. This fucking sucks. And the war ends with nobody being happy.
Right.
Some middle of the road Targaryen ends up on the throne, and the marriage just becomes so super incestuous in 2-3 generations that the dragons die out, and it's just so.
Well, I don't know about that part, but
that's not necessarily related. But the Targaryen incestuous.
But
relationships
here the thing is though is that from what I understand during right before Robert's Rebellion, I mean right before, who was the Mad King? Was it
Aegon the Third? I think.
Is it Aegon? Is it another Aegon?
I think it's Targaryen.
That's fine. It's fine. I got you. So the Mad King, right? Prior to the Mad King, and like you take out the Mad King and whatever his kid was, the beautiful, perfect one, right? That
Yeah.
Robert kills, right?
Yeah. After he has sex with
Yeah,
Ned
yeah,
Stark's
yeah.
sister.
Like, besides the Mad King, from what I get, is that like the Targaryens are great. Like this next kid is going to be freaking amazing. Like the one in line for the throne at that point is amazing. He's like the perfect knight. And before the Mad King, like it looks like they're going strong. So like whatever happens after this doesn't super hurt the Targaryen line outside of their dragons.
Yeah.
Like, so it just seems odd to me.
It's super fucking odd.
It definitely seems odd because I'm very. I feel like our Martin probably just skipped over how they go from Aegon the Younger to the Mad King, and what the fuck is the kid's name who secretly marries the Stark and creates Jon. Who's Jon's dad? Jon's dad. That's what I'm looking for.
Rhaegar.
Yes. Rhaegar.
And Aerys. Aerys the Second is the Mad King. Aerys.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you get from the end of this war to Aerys the Mad King? And that's, we're talking like 170 years, right?
You have 6 or 7 generations.
We're talking half of the dynasty, right?
Yeah.
The other half of the dynasty. The first half has dragons, the second half doesn't.
Yep.
That makes less sense to me. Because it's just like, if you had people fucking running their mouths with when they had fucking dragons, then why, after like 5 years of them not having dragons, does every fucking house not overthrow the Targaryens? This is what's like, unless they are just great, like just the greatest kings ever.
I mean, they very well could be for some fucking like we don't exactly know the commoner's perspective beyond the fact of like,
just doesn't make sense.
There's most of the commoners just like, I don't really give a fuck. I have to.
The
survive.
commoners are one thing, but that's not where it comes from. It comes from all the highborns, like just all these power grabby motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, unless they're just saying that so many people are fucking dead that like not a single, every house is fucking weak for the next 6 generations.
Okay, so I have
like what wars are fought in between?
I have numbers for you. So the Dance of the Dragons War lasts for 2 years total.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's how many seasons it should have been.
And it ends in the year 131, and then Robert's Rebellion begins in the year 282. So we are about 150 years before Robert's Rebellion.
So we're literally in the middle. We're literally in the middle of the Targaryen dynasty, right?
Yeah, Rhaenyra's great-great-grandfather was Aegon the Conqueror. There's a good chunk of this Targaryen family tree under her. But we're about like a third of the way down the Targaryen tree, yeah. All the way at the bottom here, we've got Daenerys and Khal Drogo. But yeah. There's a lot of fucking Targaryens between now and Game of Thrones episode 1. There's a fucking lot of them.
Yeah, it seems like that was a super strong dynasty just as good. They didn't have a single dragon to fight. Like it's just the armies.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to me, especially when you factor in like I'm wondering where this comes from, because I'm just wondering where the only thing I think I hear of in between there is like whatever story creates the Lannister what's it called, the Lions of whatever, like the
fuck
the
the
Reigns of Castamere.
The Reigns of
Castamere. Like there's that. So you have like one kind of uprising, like one kind of shitty household that does it. But like it's not like is there like some other strong house that like sides with the Targaryens that really kind of like makes them competent? But like this just seems to me like we are literally watching a bunch of babes play war.
Yep.
And that is a one-note pony.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. They're young and inexperienced and young, dumb, and full of cum. And ooh, no. But that's not a fun story to play over again every fucking time. Like, where's the intrigue? I mean, again, I am giving them the benefit of Viserys walks down, takes the throne, and it's an epic moment that I never expected to happen.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can do something like that again, but Game of Thrones level storytelling should be doing that 3 to 4 times a season. And that's just not the case. I just don't see it happening.
No.
So it's a thumbs down. I think it's a thumbs down.
It's so fucking bizarre. They would need to like really ramp it up for these last 4 episodes to make me get invested enough that I'm gonna wanna tune into season 3. But as of right now, I'll probably finish season 2 just because I'm already this far in. I might skip out on season 3, or I'll wait till it's over and then just binge watch the whole thing.
I mean, like, what for you would be something that you would? I mean, the problem is like, what I want to see is something I haven't seen before. So the speculation is impossible, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm just trying to think of like, okay, so why don't I care about this one moment? Even though I know what happens, even though I know how this plays out or whatever, like I still want to see him walk down the throne and take and make this desperate attempt at the family. Why is that cool? Because it shows an inner strength in a person that I didn't know existed before. It's triumphant. In a way that I hadn't known before. Mm-hmm. It's sad in a way that I didn't know. So, like, it's a twist, right?
Sure.
So, give me a twist, give me triumph. Can they give me something like that? Can they twist something and make it triumph?
There were nuggets of good shit in this episode. Like, it opens with Daemon walking up to the Iron Throne, and he just can't make out what someone's saying, and then it's young Rhaenyra just talking to him, saying like, "Oh, this is what you always feared. I'm in power because your brother loved me more than you." So he strikes her down, and then she keeps taunting him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, this is some good stuff. Give Daemon a little more." Like we know he's like fucking weird and crazy and acts on impulses.
But like you got to get away from these characters. I feel like I'm just not interested.
I want to know more about Daemon, but at the same time, there's so many other people that haven't had screen time.
I don't think you can surprise me with Daemon.
Probably not. No,
he's just this weird dude. He's at his best when he plays an X Factor. Like I said, when he slices the head off Valeria's brother or whatever. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dig it. I'm here for it.
He's good when he's just, like, killing people. But then when he's not, it's just weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not a character to build the whole franchise on for the most part. I mean, like, this is the thing with this guy.
For sure, yeah. There's so much more that could be done. There's so many other interesting characters here, especially because, as we just found out in the timeline, we've only got 2 years to play with. We're a few weeks in already, so we've got a year and change, and there's so many other players here. If you really want 5 seasons, flesh them out, give them stories. Otherwise, your war is just going to be fucking pointless.
Like, I asked for this, right? And now what's going to happen? I'm going to go get, like, the babysitter over in the Free Cities. Am I going to watch that and see what happens to the fucking eggs? Like, there's just no, like, the issue for me is that, like, the characters that they've introduced, from side characters up and down, I don't see a story there. Like, I don't see a story worth any time. Like, okay, so at the beginning of the season, did we do any episodes this season? Did we talk about it at all?
No.
Did we do the first one at all?
This is our first coverage of House of the Dragon season 2.
So I felt like they could have, like, we open up on the wall, right? They open up in the north in the first episode.
Yes,
and
with one of the sons
with one of the Starks,
petitioning
right?
for help with the Starks.
And what I saw there was like, oh, interesting. I wonder if Jace or whatever Jace State hangs out there a little bit and maybe gets drawn away by the White Walker, like, you know, what's going on over here.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, maybe we get torn into that, and maybe he's like late to show up for a big battle because he's like torn, you know, kind of like a Jon Snow thing. Like, he can't deal with the fucking war in Westeros because, you know what? They fucking need a dragon over here, or they need something like that. Like, that would have been intriguing to me because maybe there's some intrigue into what happens with the White Walkers and, like, some insight. Like, so you're gonna surprise me there, and maybe, like, and that ties back into this because he's not able to help Rhaenyra win the war. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that being interesting. But again, it's a shaggy dog story that I need, and I feel like the shaggy dog stories that they want to give me are like, it's gonna be this Helena girl, like, or it's gonna be like this going to Essos, not Essos. What are the free cities called?
Pentos.
Pentos, and those places. Just that. Like, I think it's just going to be like, oh, it's all these wide-eyed kids that look like they're about to cry, and I'm like, I have zero interest.
Yep.
Zero. Like, the other girl with the dragon who, like, was paroling and, like, almost burned out these guys the last episode.
Bela.
Like, again, her twin or whatever, again, not an interest. Like, you haven't... They're the same age as Jon Snow, and he was a million times more interesting. The King in the North, the young wolf, it was 12 times more interesting. The fucking Rickon was not Rickon, but like the steward from the Greyjoy kid was 12 times more interesting. As much as I disliked him,
Theon.
Theon was more interesting. Like, every single character was more intriguing. Like, but we don't. Again, even a side character like this Gawain Hightower is only seen in relation to Kristen. There's no.
Yep.
But even if he was like a Theon-like character, we would have seen him alone. You know what I mean? Like, we would have seen Gawain Hightower. Like, we would see what he. I instead of catching up with him. With Kristen, we should have seen him plan this whole thing. Him, like, follow that storyline,
yes.
and then have him interact with Kristen and see how that plays out. But like they're not full-blooded characters, and that's the issue. They are not embodying these characters beyond the 5 that they've chosen, and it's like, no, every character needs to feel like a real character, and every character that I kind of semi-like is like. Long for this world for like a day.
Yeah.
Every strong character that I like, dead a day.
The only character that I like a bit that is probably going to make it to the end is Aemond. Like, he's really fucking cunning. He's really fucking smart. And he may have just burned his brother, the king, alive to try to take the throne. I don't know what his motivation is there. I'm very curious to find out if he did or didn't. But at the same time, that's really it. That's the only question I want answered right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the most intriguing character to me is Christian Cole.
Yep.
And that's not I feel like a great place to be. I'm really done with Alicent, and I feel like she's just gonna live this entire time. Rhaenyra is painful. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, every single person on your council has every right to be angry with you. Fine, do what you were doing, but you needed the first episode and a half to find your dead son that everybody knew was dead, and then you needed the next 3 episodes to go talk to try to get out of a war that we all know is going to happen. So, like, that's not fun. That doesn't endear us to the character. Just the fact of it. Oh, well, look at the lengths that they went to. I don't care.
Who fucking cares, man?
Like, this is the calculation I think they're off on. It's probably why they're I don't know. Maybe they get this feedback, they cancel it, they let it finish up with a 3rd season, and they just fucking ramp everything up because I don't, in 6 episodes, they give you a 6-episode 3rd season to wrap this shit up because dude, you gotta really blow me away. Now I hope we come back in the second half here and I eat my words. You know, I'm like, I can't believe this. It's so cool.
Whenever I shit on a show, I want to be wrong.
Yeah.
I want the show to be good. I never want to watch something bad. I never want anyone to fail at what they're doing. But this is just not fucking doing it for me. It gave me very high expectations because every fucking billing before that came out was like, oh, the new Game of Thrones. Literally, it's the same world. No, this ain't it, bro. This ain't fucking it. It is not what I want. Out of fucking,
and I do feel like so many of these other wars could do that, but
you got so much to work with, and you chose a Dance of Dragons, huh? That's the war you chose.
Oh, people wanted dragons at that point when this was in production, right? Pre-production.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dragons, just dragon fights, and I'm like, okay,
Sure.
I don't think dragon fights are as cool looking as you think they are.
No. I mean, they're really not.
Like, I mean, we watched it today, and I'm like, cool. Yeah, it's like if hawks fought each other, or eagles or something. Okay.
Yep.
They're not characters. Actually,
No,
one of my favorite parts of this episode was just Aegon like giving his Sunfire a little kiss like a doggy. You know, when he went up to him, like, oh, like, yeah, you know what? You know who likes you, Aegon? Your dragon. And don't get me wrong, Alicent's little, like, do what's expected of you, nothing, like, line is killer, and it's a burn, but, like, you're the fucking worst mother. Like,
yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And like, give him a bone. Like, holy shit. Do you just need to shit on him every time?
That's all they do. Is just
I
fucking
know
shit
you
on this
want him
dude.
to be like, you want him to do nothing, but wouldn't you rather him, like, she says listen and learn and stuff like that, but like, it's long past that. Like, listen and learn, and like, how about we come up with an active plan to make you more capable?
Yep.
All right, like throw him a bone.
I get that you're upset because you just learned that you put him on the throne because of a lie, and you're a little upset about it, and you're a little upset because you just had to abort your bastard kid with Kristen Cole. But, like, I don't know, man. I feel like you should be a little better mom for your son, the king. I don't know. Maybe that's insensitive of me to say that, but, like, fucking not exactly Mother of the Year candidate here.
I mean, there's a couple, like, if you gave me, like, a revelation that the Maesters have been trying to kill the Targaryen race forever, like, if that, like, you know how, like, we said initially that
like
that may
Court
have,
of Owls, like, conspiracy.
yeah, like, we said early on that maybe they have been poisoning Viserys, and we said that early on.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was,
and that could very well still be the case. Like, this whole civil war is a plot to make. If that was a revelation, that would be intriguing.
I'd shit my pants. I'd be so happy.
You know, if that was a side. But again, you'd be forced to kind of show me Hightown and, like, or whatever, Old Town, and you'd be forced to show me a subplot.
Yeah.
Like, I'd
show
be
me
intrigued
shit.
to see the Hightowers. Like, how about locations besides Harrenhal, Dragonstone, and the Red Keep? Like, it's a little better with these wars on the other sides, but, like, it just still feels like everything's there. There's no ongoing storyline in another place.
No, absolutely.
There's 3 locations.
Even in Harrenhal, it's an empty fucking castle.
I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I just want something else, and you know, this is the issue.
We got very spoiled with Game of Thrones, having, like, so many different main characters that were just all over the fucking world.
Yeah.
That we just kept jumping around from, like, the south to the north.
But
and
this
the wall.
does feel like the prequels and sequels thing for Star Wars, where it's like, you know, the original series felt lived in, and the prequels felt glossy.
They felt glossy,
but it's supposed to. And I'm like, cool. It's not a fun story.
Yeah.
Like there's angles that you could give that would make these more intriguing, and there's viewpoints that would make it more intriguing, but you're not doing that. You're focused on the key parts, and I think Game of Thrones works best from a lateral view.
Yes.
You're with them, you're not them. And I feel like we have, like, a first person perspective in this story every time we're watching something, and every other one is a third person objective, or a third person. It's third person limited, but, like,
I was going to say you would know better than I.
So I think the best Game of Thrones stuff kind of works on a third person objective viewpoint, which would really just be like, you're not following any one person, and it's just kind of like, here's what happens. And you're doing that. Now, it's always kind of leaning towards one person, and in the show, you don't get inner thoughts, right? So you never get that limited perspective. It's always just focused on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it should be. Okay, it's focused on them, but anything that goes on is within earshot. You know, it's kind of like, you could see this. But yeah, like, it's just not following with me. Now, changing gears here a little bit because I'm about done ripping on this first half of it. And again,
Okay.
not like I'm not watching a lot of other things besides maybe The Boys and this for the time being. So it's not like I'm torn or like
we're not want for content for sure.
No, I mean I am one for content. I'm not watching a lot.
Oh,
so
I thought you said you were. I'm sorry.
I just say there's not a lot of other stuff on, so I'm like I'm glad it's here, but like. There are better times for sure.
There's a better use of your fucking Sunday nights before you have to wake up early for work on Monday.
I'm just saying, in absence of nothing, I'll take this. But there could be something better. And what I wanted to say was that for those of you covering our boys coverage, I do want to throw in a little shade to The Boys as you know that show just keeps getting ripped and shit on, right?
Yeah, and something we didn't talk about in 4 because I didn't really look at it objectively was Huey's sexual assault scene, which is getting torn apart right now. Yeah,
so that was one thing, right? And I think I said it in the episode was that I think it would have like he sits there and almost says like, oh, I'm really fucked up, and I was like, okay, they are at least addressing like he was assaulted, and then it kind of turns into oh, but it's really I miss my dad.
Yep,
and it's like okay, but what even more so is that the big people that have pointed out the difference in Tech Night from Gen V to this.
Yeah. He's just a freak.
And in general with the show, which is that when they started the show, right? Like what's his name? Bless you.
I love that I mute my mic to sneeze and then you say bless you, so it just
Deep. You still heard it. Deep was a freak because he fucked Fish because that's power related.
Yes.
Noir is a weirdo because his brain is half gone. There's another one in there.
All the weirdos
even
have
the
reasons.
Gen V, even in Gen V, Tech Night has especially in the comics. But like, it was only that he had this. Especially in the comics, he just had this one thing that he had to fuck little holes. When you get to The Boys, he's a scat eating. Like freak, he's all the things. Yeah. All of them are.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's just freaky deaky, right? It's not a part of his game. It's not a part. It's not any of that. Again, I had some. They definitely changed up this character from where they were in Gen V because I feel like there's no way. I feel like he had to have some kind of soup powers.
His suit powers were just enhanced senses. He was supposed to be like an actual superpowered Sherlock Holmes.
So, from what I heard, they have he has a suit.
Oh yeah. He does have a suit.
As they talked about him in Gen V, like punching through people or like ripping them apart or doing something like that, which could be or breaking someone's back, and that could be in relation to a suit like a Zazel type suit from the Batman lore.
Yep. Or like Iron Man, he can do crazy stuff when he's in the suit.
So fine, but then we should have seen that. And again, it's just like
we didn't even see his fucking suit at all, did we?
No. And the bigger issue, again, I was trying to avoid some of this, but like that they're under Homelander's nose, and he has been shown to be able to smell Huey's sweat.
Yep.
Let alone like a million other things. Like this doesn't. You neuter the characters when it suits your needs just to ramp it up. And
did you see the fan theory as to why that happened?
Why?
So in the Maeve fight at the end of season 3, she stabbed him in the ear. Mm-hmm. So they're saying that Homelander's hearing might be compromised. He might not have super hearing anymore. And when they went down into the cave, Huey lost signal with the microphone in the van. So they're like, we don't know how far down they went or what that cave is lined with. Because it would have to be pretty heavy duty if Tech Knight's doing freaky shit down there and he doesn't want people hearing. All so right. that's I'm saying that's paper thin, but that's like a little bit of plausibility.
It's how about Homelander seeing a bullet wound in Sage's head?
That's a lot
and
different.
Moving on with the rest of his agenda. Again, it's one hand wavy thing, two hand wavy things, and I know I said before, like maybe these plot holes don't get picked up on in the first season. Maybe you don't know how the world works, you don't know what the rules are, and you just follow it as you go.
You're a little more forgiving.
But yeah, I mean, like again, there was that. There was the whole leg chop off guy. There was these things.
Yep.
It was. I feel like they need to wrap this shit up before it gets bad, and
for sure. But
and I do feel like they're burning their audience pretty bad right now. So not great stuff.
Certainly not. And this is what happens when you have a big bad scary villain who just outstays his the amount of time he should be there.
Yeah.
Because Homelander should have been dead at the end of season 3, maybe season 2 if you're really trying to fight things, and then you make the rest of Vought the bad guy. But instead, now Homelander's the big bad for the whole thing. Anthony Starr knocked it out so much and became so beloved that they were like, fuck it, we're never canning him. He's going to have this role to the last episode, and that's great. You know, it's good to watch, but at the same time, you're making Homelander such this like watered down version of himself because he needs to be able to be beaten to continue the plot, but not so much that he can die. It's a little much now at this point.
Yeah, I'm hoping more and more for the clone because it would make for at least a keep Anthony Starr and also have a different character.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah, you could very fucking easily do that.
So that'd be a neat twist to throw in at this stage.
Well,
you
Deep had that conversation with Noir too, of like, oh, Noir 2 wants to fly the coop. Great, put the fucking clone in there, mask him up, he'll be silent again.
Exactly,
and then that's what your season 5 like endgame twist.
That
could
would be fun. Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Give him a technically new role. But okay. Sorry for the boys coverage there. Just had to throw that in. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm at this weird stage of like, I would be happy for them to have to make adjustments due to some kind of fan fall off or backlash or just, I don't need, I don't, honestly, I don't know how many seasons they said, but it sure as hell said it like 5, and I'm like, no.
I want to.
You got to do something crazy. Like, but the next season should be the last season, if that. It seems crazy to me to try to force 4 or 5 seasons of 5 especially of this fucking show, unless you plan on like skipping, like finishing out this halfway through next season, jumping over to like Robert's Rebellion or some shit.
Would you be surprised if I told you season 2 has the same Rotten Tomatoes score as the first season of 90%?
No, I'd buy it.
Okay. I mean, yes.
There's not a ton on. People did just get to see some dragons. Like,
it's fucking like you gave us the dragons. That's cool. Sometimes they look good. A lot of the times they don't.
Yeah,
but
they look perfectly good this season. We had some day dragons. How about that? This is all day. CGI is fine. CGI is good. No worries there. A lot of the Vagar stuff we saw at the end of last season was in the dark and little bit of complaints there. But, this is definitely a day-lit dragon fight that looked really solid.
HBO has told Ryan Condal and George R.R. Martin to expect 4 seasons.
No.
So,
No.
I mean...
I would watch I think I could watch the Dance of Dragons to the end of this season.
Maybe a third if you end this season with like...
If you're going for 4, no, it'd be the end of this season, and I want Robert's Rebellion in the next one. Like, just you skip over or something else. I don't know.
Didn't they greenlight a Robert's Rebellion TV show, and then they canceled it, like, in pre-production?
I don't know.
Was that the one where they had, like, everything going, they shot a pilot, and then some producer saw it and said, fuck this, and canned it?
There was something. I don't know if it was that.
Because they've had like 3 or 4 Game of Thrones shows that have been.
There was another Targaryen story that they were planning. But I don't know.
There was one that was untitled. There was the Rebellion.
Oh wait, is it a Jon Snow?
And then there was Snow.
No, but that's in. That's happening. I think. I think that's happening.
It's been put on ice. It is officially postponed.
It's been on Snow, huh?
The Snow show with Kit Harington attached is let me
Thank God. I did not. I'm not I'm not sure about that, man. That they put on
3
ice.
months ago, Game of Thrones Jon Snow spin-off series Snow no longer in development.
Okay, probably a good thing.
I mean, for sure. And I mean, like, no offense to Kit Harington, but, like, I don't want to see the rest of Jon Snow's story. You fucked it up in the last season. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, I mean...
He was the prince that was promised. He was the son born of ice and fire, and you fucked up his whole arc in the 11th hour because you guys wanted to make a fucking Star Wars movie. Go fuck yourselves. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's my fucking... Yeah, that's my thing.
I mean, this whole show that we're watching here, House of the Dragon, definitely relies on this prince that was promised. Because, as I see it, what is his name? Rhaegar, right? Rhaegar later on.
The dragon?
Rhaegar the
Oh,
prince.
Jon's dad.
Yeah, Jon's dad.
I'm sorry.
They
reuse names so often.
If you don't know this element of it, he's like a very poetic guy, not a warrior. He's beautiful, capable.
That's why Lyanna Stark fell in love with
all
him,
these things.
even though he was married to a Tyrell lady.
But what ends up happening from him is that he used to read all the time, and then one day, a guy with no interest in kind of ruling or any of these things, one day when he's like 17 or something, decides, it appears I need to be a warrior. And then decides to take things seriously. He becomes a capable knight, and the love of the land. By the time he's like 23, by the time I think that like the Robert's Rebellion is happening, so like within 6 years, he is very much the prince that he needs to be. And this is when he starts like gives it to the Stark girl. This is what starts the whole thing, because what I think the implication has always been is that he discovers Aegon's dream.
Oh.
He discovers the prophecy for the prince that was promised and realizes that it's a song of ice and fire, and this is why he gives Lyanna the rose. He's like, oh, I need to marry a Stark, the ice, and we bring together ice. Like, he goes all in on that, and that's what starts the war and does brings.
Okay,
and that's what I got out of this. So,
mad respect for Rhaegar if that's true.
But that seems to me to be like the clear implication, of what happens. He discovers what we didn't know to be Aegon's dream before this show.
Mm-hmm.
So, understand that, we don't know, the only place that thing is written is in the knife that now Aemond holds.
Yeah.
It's written in the knife, right? And he is one of the few people that could hold it. Now, it is burned, but we know it gets better, right? We know, because it's...
We see it later in Game of Thrones.
The cat's paw daggers, the Game of Thrones that Littlefinger takes from Tyrion and gives it, it's a whole progression as that.
Yup.
So, it's written in there. But the fact that it's written there is brand new to the show. That is not told anywhere else. It's lost to time.
Okay.
So Rhaegar has to find it somewhere else. Now, he could arguably find it in the knife that somehow then eventually ends up with Tyrion. We don't know what happens to the knife, and that it could be an interesting MacGuffin, I suppose.
Sure, it could. But didn't Samwell Tarly discover that Jon was a Targaryen because of readings he was doing up in Old Town?
There's a secret wedding that that a single maester had but it's buried into this stuff. But so granted, that is the only legal record of the marriage between them, and that's even suspect.
Sure, but it could exist some written version of
right,
because that's obviously what Alicent is looking for. She wants proof that Rhaenyra bringing up the Song of Ice and Fire isn't just some bullshit she made up to discredit her dying husband's wish.
I just think that what they're establishing with the House of the Dragon, if they're going the route of Game of Thrones is our franchise, and this franchise has plenty to draw from for the next 100 years. 50 years, right?
Let's be honest.
I'd say for the next 50 years,
they're going to milk that cow dry.
You can milk that. You can keep milking, because if you get 4 season shows, if you get 4 season shows, just because I'm undercutting it, getting an average, maybe you get some with 3, maybe some with 5. and 2 years in between each, and you got 4 more stories to tell.
Sure.
What is that? It's 4 times 5 times plus 10 more in between. 10 between years. That's
20.
It's 30 at least 30 years of storytelling. You have a franchise for the next foreseeable future.
You have steady careers for every actor in the UK.
At that point, you can reboot to do Game of Thrones again. So I do see like they could hold this prophecy to be the through line to all of it.
Sure, yeah.
Where does that prophecy originate? Well, Aegon has a dream in the beginning, right? During Aegon's conquest. Where does that show up again? Now in the halfway through in the Dance of Dragons. Then it shows up in Robert's Rebellion with him discovering the Catspaw Dagger or something, or, some other variant of it. You see that whole thing. You see however it's playing out during the Greyjoy Rebellion, and you see it in Game of Thrones. And like that's it. Like that's the through line for everything. And that's fine. But like again, I'm way more intrigued by every other story besides the Dance of Dragons.
Yep.
And that's just I am like, I want to see this show do badly enough not to get a 4th season, but well enough that they do something else in Game of Thrones. Like I don't know how else to put it.
No,
that's
where
I'm at. Yeah.
I'm with you there. If they want to keep milking this, great, but make it stuff I want to watch and give a shit about.
For reals.
Yeah. I think that's it for original thoughts I have.
Believe. Yes.
This, just in general, really.
Yeah.
That's it for all of my original thoughts.
It's all my thought. It's all the thoughts that exist.
Yep. Head is empty. That is it for this episode of the TB&J podcast. Please like and subscribe and all the fun stuff. We'll be back at you soon. Troy and I are finishing The Acolyte. D and I will finish House of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. We got Deadpool 3 in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. Big time show.
And
we
then
got a full cast show on that one. That's going to be a big time. We are coming right after Thursday night.
Thursday the 25th. We have tickets at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so we are going to be here by like 10 p.m. on Thursday night, the 25th. You will have Deadpool Wolverine coverage and it's going to be a banger. I think it's going to be a banger.
Oh yeah, I'll pocket a couple extra Adderall.
We need to preview. I think we need a build-up episode for that. This is going to be big.
Okay.
We need here's what we're hoping, like a hype episode for that.
Yeah, I'm good with a hype episode. They've certainly released enough fucking content between Hugh Jackman. I was going to say Hugh Laurie. He'd be an interesting cast.
You bring all of our speculations in and see if they can freaking surprise us.
Fuck yeah, let's guess how many other X-Men are going to be in it. That's. That'll do it. Thank you all for listening. Blah, 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 blah. Goodbye.
Blah, blah.
And all of this provided we don't fucking melt. It's going to be 98 degrees tomorrow.
Nick Lachey weather.
Blah.
I cannot believe you did not have me on this episode. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.